or well, still staying with social media, but a bit of a political twist. Social media has been buzzing, especially Facebook, about the presidential handshake. Yes, you guessed right. The handshake among former president of Ghana at the just ended 25th Republican anniversary. Pundits say ex-President Rawlings seemed to have a beef with ex-President Mahama. Well, the big question, however, is it a conversation worth having? Many say there are political implications as to whether or not the relationship between the two is great. We'll be engaging with political communication expert, but before that, take a look at the video. So some have said that it's quite snobbish, but others really don't see any problem with it. They say it's no big deal. But then again, this is not the first time that the former President Rawlings has sprung up discussions like this. Remember the Okovandapoy incident in Parliament? Here's a refresher. Let's start the conversation. Dr. Eric Opoku-Mensah heads the Department of Communication Studies at the University of Cape Coast. He joins us via the phone with some analysis. Sir, thank you very much for your time here on The Pulse. First of all, let me find out from you if you think that from a political communication perspective, this is a conversation worth having at all.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers. I think so. I think we know that for some time now, the relationship between former President Rawlings and President Mahama hasn't been the best. And especially when at the time when the NDC is working towards reuniting its ranks, it is important that, Ghanaians want to see how, as part of the unity tour, the two key leaders, currently the two leaders of the MPP, former presidents who are alive, at least there ought to be an expression of unity between them.
But,
to provide such a visual communication as to an expression or the continuous existence of discord between these two key leaders, speaks a lot. And I think that it kind of speaks or works against the efforts of President Mahama going around the country trying to reunite the rank and file.
Don't you think that pundits on social media are perhaps blowing this thing out of proportion? I mean, the former President Kufuor gave the former President Mahama a hug. They had a handshake. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the former President Rawlings should do same.
These are two different personalities. But, I mean, so far as communication is concerned, what happened actually sends a message across. You find former President Kufuor, who happens to be in a different political tradition.
Right.
Welcoming, shall I say, his younger brother, Mahama, with a hug. I mean, very, very heartwarming to see former leaders, especially in Africa and particularly in Ghana, doing this. When we are celebrating our 25th anniversary of the Fourth Republic, quite symbolic, quite enthusiastic. It is an expression of hope in our democracy. It's an expression of the love that even people or leaders who have served in different political traditions still at that national level expresses a lot of enthusiasm for each other. That is quite symbolic. But on the other hand, when you find former President Rawlings, who happens to share the same political tradition with Mahama, still, a very cold handshake, then really the efforts being put in place by President Mahama currently, to reunite the rank and file, then people will begin to question whether it's really working, because if you want to reunite the rank and file of the party, then members of the party and Ghanaians in general want to see whether you have worked at your level to, ensure some peace and unity with your former leader, and who is not any member of the party, but the founder. I think it's worrying. So it sends a negative picture about what is happening within the NDC, particularly at the top level, when everybody expects that at this time that they are working towards, a goal in terms of 2020 presidential contest and all of that. People want to see that if there have been things which have happened in the past that were the cause of the disunity among these two leaders. But this time, they would have done some introspection to overcome that. So here we see former President Mahama going around the country. He was in Brownford and all of that. But even his own former leader and founder, there's an expression of discord, especially on the 25th celebration of our democracy at the Fourth Republic. So it's worrying, but I do not want to say that what people are expressing on social media is out of proportion. We are in an age where body language and visual communication actually speak a lot in terms of how people interpret political actions of leaders and political actors. And therefore, I think that to some extent, while people might feel that these people expressing themselves on social media might be doing it out of proportion, I think to some extent they are really commenting about what they think, what is happening.
Okay.
And I think it's a bit worrying. It's not comforting, as we all want to see NDC prepare themselves very well, at least to give NPP a contest come 2020.
Okay, well, hopefully they'll take some lessons from there. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Eric Opoku-Mensah is head of the Communications Studies Department at the University of Cape Coast there. So that's the video that we played over and over again. So the discussion and the debate continues on social media. But let's hear former President Rawlings now. He's been speaking this afternoon when a group paid a visit to him at his residence.
This exercise. I'm serious. You believe me. You know what I'm talking about. I'm very passionate about this thing too. You know? Sometimes people ask me, wouldn't you like to come back to office? I say, no. But actually, maybe I'll say if you give it to me for 1 year, I'll just like to deal with the water sector.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
I'll grab the Navy. Just 1 year.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Isn't it too long?
No, it's even short.
It's even short?
Yes, sir.
So 2 years.
One term,
2 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, when I left office, one night I went somewhere, the other side of the country, eastwards. And when we're coming, we got to the Freedom and Justice Arch. And the driver was turning around to take me home, because I'm no more head of state. I'd forgotten I was not head of state. So I asked him, where are you going? So he had difficulties trying to remind me, oh, sir, oh. I said, oh. But, it was a funny night. I never forgot again after that. One day, on a Sunday, not too long afterwards, I was driving out of some place. I gave some 2 people a lift on a Sunday morning, a lady and a certain gentleman. As they entered the car, he was talking about the fumes if we didn't have water. These ones had had their bath, but one of them had had so much akbateshi, you know. It was, my whole car was full of it. On a Sunday morning, going to church. Anyway, so I asked, what does he do? He said he's a carpenter. I've forgotten what the lady said. I said, well, as for me, I'm unemployed. I'm looking for a country to rule.
Or you could call that the fantasies of a former president. That's a former president. He makes them laugh so hard. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Opia. Let's take a break.